What words would you use to describe the San Antonio music scene?
I would say ambitious but not pretentious. It's kind of like everybody gets a chance, which is what's great. But it's like there's not as many like hipster people that take it so seriously. It's like people have fun doing what they do. There's not anyone like, oh. It's like they play music to play music and not play music to get a record deal.
It's funny, I'm reading The Tipping Point right now, Malcolm Gladwell, and I just really feel like San Antonio is like working its way up to that point right now. There's this like sort of like mini explosion that's happening, and it's really exciting. And we're all here while it's happening, kind of watching it happen, hoping it doesn't get to a point where it's just ridiculous. But regardless, it's happening.
Because San Antonio has always been a crossroads. I mean, if you're trying to get from El Paso to Louisiana, you have to come to San Antonio to get to Houston. From Dallas to Mexico, you have to come to San Antonio. It's right in the middle, you know. Going north and south, east and west, you have to go to San Antonio.
I think for me, Texas is part of my creative process because I grew up here. And a lot of my songs, I think, have imagery of just growing up in the country.
Turn my world upside down. Now the mess we made is eating me alive. And I don't know if I can ever make it right. My eyes have never been so wide, my soul has never been so dry. And I don't know if I can make it feel the pain. All my
To start with, I'm Flaco Jimenez, and I'm an accordion player.
My name is John Mata, first of all. I'm a visual artist, musician, and DJ.
My name is Carlos Herrera, and what I do? No, I write music, produce music, and keep my eye out for people who I think can contribute to it, like mainly vocalists, singers, and try and work with them to like put together a product for that.
I'm Karish. I run a magazine called Kind Form, and we focus on art and music and fashion, food and drink here in San Antonio and all over the country. That's my contribution to San Antonio.
I'm JJ. I play drums. I'm Alvaro. I play accordion and I sing.
I'm Matt. I play guitar and I do backup vocals. And I'm Marcus. I play the bass.
Brandy Lopez, of course. I'm originally from San Antonio, and I want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this documentary. Being in the entertainment itself, alone. To be honest with you, since I was a little girl, because I come from family of music.
My name is George Garza, and I am a local musician in a band called Pop Pistol. I play the bass guitar, and I also help organize for Local 782.
Alright, my name is Robert Medina. I am MIDI program director for KSYM.
My name is Victoria Acevedo. I am the music director for KSYM.
I'm J.R. Castro from Boerne, Texas, and I'm a singer-songwriter, write my own stuff, do my own stuff, and jam out as much as I can.
Luke Huggins, right here from San Antonio, Texas, singer-songwriter, do my own stuff.
What's up? I'm Kyle Reed from San Antonio, Texas. Just jamming, doing my thing, writing songs, hanging out with my friends, playing music,
I'm Marcus Rubio. Hi, everybody out there. I
was Ramon Hernandez, spent 23 years in the military, retired, came home and started documenting the history of Tejano music and conjunto music. And along the way, I founded the Hispanic Entertainment Archives, the largest personally owned collection of Tejano music memorabilia, artifacts, and music videos. It's all there.
For the most part, it's pretty much a do-it-yourself city. There are a couple of organizations that advocate for musicians. There's the local 782, and they put on events and try to sort of get more exposure for what's happening here.
Local 782 is San Antonio Music Coalition, a group that really focuses on educational outreach with independent musicians in San Antonio.
This town is a heavy metal town, so there is a huge heavy metal scene here, and a much smaller Americana scene.
First, it's been in Tejano and metal, and we've dominated those two areas. We're trying to dominate some other areas. I think we've got budding hip hop. I think we've got a budding indie rock scene that's pretty cool, and there are definite distinct bands in all of those genres, which I think are coming up in the national scene and have something unique to offer.
The past year or 6 months, I see that there's a focus on live music, which is something I kind of think has kind of been lost ever since, let's say, Taco Land days.
I got into the music scene in probably 1995. That's when I was finally old enough. Actually, I just moved back to San Antonio. There was a couple of places in town back then that was a lot of fun to go to. Taco Land was the top of the list. The Green Onion Lounge is also a really cool place. It was pretty much like if you were in a band and you wanted to play a show, you had to walk into Taco Land and ask Ram, can I see the book? And then he would say, there you go. And you could just, if the date was open, you could just write the date in there. My band's gonna play on this date, and this is who's gonna be in there. He didn't really have any problem with any bands. And then plus on top of the fact that it was a dive, you didn't really have to do much other than just show up and make a bunch of noise. I mean, bands love that, There was a whole group of people who just, that's what they did. They went to Taco Land. It's like there's this little small extended family that Ram had, and it's like you may have gone to other venues, but the show ended at 12:30. It's like, hey, let's go have a couple of beers with Ram at Taco Land. That's just the type of bar that it was. And it was right there on the Riverwalk. There's a beautiful tree that everybody used to bump their head on, and just it was really like it was our CBGBs. It was like the Whiskey A Go Go equivalent in San Antonio, and it was Taco Land. There's really been no other place like it.
It's good to have a central location for your music scene. In any city, like in Los Angeles, Hollywood being the center of their music scene and then branching out to the other areas is what you really need for any city to thrive artistically or musically. It needs an epicenter, and it needs to branch out that way. I think North St. Mary's has done a decent job at doing that, drawing kids from all over the city to center where the music is happening. I think they've done a really good job doing that.
Let's say White Rabbit has, for a number of years, has had kind of the monopoly on bringing touring acts, and it's funny because that scene is it's very young. It's an all ages venue, but it seems like most of the money or most of the participants, let's say, are underage. So it's kind of hard to get involved and feel that vibe when you feel kind of out as far as being an adult.
The fact that we have such a variety of music playing on this radio station compared to other radio stations where they strictly play top 40s, they strictly play rock or whatever, that in itself is what encompasses your only alternative, We try to stay away from what you would normally hear on a top 40 radio station or what's getting overplayed, not just by the radio but by MTV or whatever, or Mundos or whatever, A lot of local bands, this is you know, one of the best ways to get their start on playing on the radio. Like, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I went to Clear Channel, and there was an artist there. He had been, like, traveling around the country, and he was, you know, underground, and he went to Clear Channel to try to get his music on 96.1, which is the top 40 station here in San Antonio. And, like, I knew right away that they were probably going to chuck his CD because that's just not, you know, what they specialize in. However, you know, here, you know, artists can easily come in, give us their CD, and we listen to it. If we like it, you know, it's going to get played. And, you know, that's one way that they, stepping stone how they can start their career, the musicians here.
Well, we do the live shows, and it's primarily to give our local artists a platform. It is an alternative, you know. It's an alternative to the stereotypes that we see often in music. So it's nice to be able to be a part of that and to actually make a difference in the community.
And if that means anything to music, be different, set yourself apart, don't try to follow the mold. And I think we do a good job of that because we don't care what people think about us. We kind of do our own thing.
Texas music dates back to the mid-1800s. When the Germans came to Texas, the Polish, the Czechoslovakians, and they, along with them, they brought the accordion. And they would play the accordion, and the Mexican field workers would hear it. And they started buying them and started playing them. And what were German songs, they recorded and turned into Mexican songs. The only thing that changed was the title of the song, you know. And the accordion initially was considered to be a cantina instrument. Because back then, small towns, they would have a dance in the ranch, clear off the field, and, you know, bailar. You know, kick the dust around.
Well, being that my grandfather, Patricio Jimenez, it was in the turn of the century when he managed to pick up an accordion and start playing those umpa music, that umpa polka, that originally come from the European countries, Germany, Poland, and well, so many countries in the European scene, you know, which actually this kind of music, it's originally from it's originally the European sound of especially accordion. My dad, you know, play the accordion. 1936 was when he started recording this kind of music, which was called, and it's called conjunto music. Yeah, I was self-taught because of watching him play, you know. And then in my teens, I started listening to country music, blues, and different kinds of music, you know, and there was no accordion involved. I decided to try to blend the accordion to different kinds of musics, which up to now, I've been doing that for a long time.
Tejano music absorbs and takes all this and combines it into one. It's one big melting pot of music.
You know, nowadays it's very much a combination of music of different styles.
I started my TV show 5 years ago as Tejano classic TV. We had the name, I had the name for about 2 years. Then one day something just clicked, and because of the genre of artist, you know, and the music that we have out there that I was interviewing, I then decided I needed to change the name and give it a little bit more of, you know, the fusion of what we have here in our community, and not only here but worldwide. So that's when I came up with, and being that I'm a Latina and I also represent, you know, have Italian blood, so I needed something, you know, give it a little bit of the taste of the Latin. So that's when I came up with Latin Fusion TV.
Back in the 1950s, before Tejano music, and at the onset of what we now know as conjunto music, all the teenagers, like I mentioned before, were into rock and roll. And they made their living as a rock and roll band, like Sonny Ace and the Twisters, Sonny Osuna and the Sunlighters. Sonny had a big hit with the song Talk to Me, and he went on American Bandstand. Before him, Mondo and the Chili Peppers preceded him in 1956. They were doing Chuck Berry, they were doing Little Richard with accordion. In other words, they were doing the hollering, the screaming, the James Brown with an accordion. And that's what, that was Tejano music. As Spanish language polkas and rancheras caught on in popularity, they started leaving the rock behind and just going for the numbers, going for the money.
You know, they all have a little taste of music, but within the same genre, like from the Tejano, the conjunto, the norteño, the mariachi.
Well, we've been around for about 5 years now. We're from San Antonio. We are, probably the best way to describe, accordion-powered punk rock, mixture of conjunto music, norteño, Tex-Mex, and punk rock.
What makes them unique is that they were homegrown. They were created here. Therefore, it's our genre, it's our music, it's part of all culture, tradition, if you might call it. And the people here are intensely proud that they created this unique type of music. You know, like I said, it's a polished polka, sophisticated ranchera. Initially, Tejano music, they would either record a rock and roll Spanish in Spanish, or they would take a Mexican standard hit by Miguel Aceves Mejia, by Jorge Negrete, by Pedro Infante, by Javier Solis, by Cuco Sanchez, and give it a Tejano beat. And then here comes the songwriters. And then they started creating songs like El Tejano Enamorado. All of a sudden, everything turned Tejano. The Hispanic music archives came to be by accident. In other words, nobody before me had ever written about Tejano music. When I came to San Antonio, when I retired, if you could look in San Antonio Light, you could look in San Antonio Express News, and you wouldn't find one article on a Latino group, musical group, no bands. Everything was who's going to be here from the Anglo-Saxon origin. So I approached the San Antonio Express News, give me the opportunity to write about Tejanos. So I went into it full time, and it worked. And in the process, as I interviewed this artist that had never had any print media exposure, in gratitude, you know, the standard interview, they give you a copy of the album, they give you a copy of the CD now. Well, in gratitude, they would give me a jacket, a shirt they wore, a pair of boots, a hat, you know. And I said, this is pretty neat, but I'm not going to wear this outlandish costume. So I put it in the closet. Over the years, before I knew it, I had to get rid of the furniture. I had to get rid of the sofa, dining room table, chairs, everything. My home is nothing but a collection.
Everyone has worked so hard and continue to work so hard to pass on to the younger generation who will be coming in when our legends are gone. You know, and hearing the taste of their music and how they're bringing it all together. It's the beauty of keeping the Tejano music industry alive and well.
I've seen the mediocre Conjunto group. They were good, but I mean, in comparison to Flaco Jimenez, who's played with the Rolling Stones, or Ry Cooder, or Peter Rowan, I've seen them just go to a real colorful costume without even any names, and just that the visual appeal, and they see them on stage with all these bright flashing lights, and all of a sudden they're famous, you know. In other words, they follow the example set by Madonna and now Lady Gaga. The more outlandish you are, the more attention you're going to get, the more print you're going to get, the more exposure, the more people are going to talk about you, whether it be good or bad, you're getting the exposure. Tejano is not stagnant, it's not dead, and it will never die. Sure, it lost a lot of airplay when the big boys came into the picture. In other words, the major radio chains and corporations came and bought out the mom and pops, and they completely eliminated the Tejano music format in Dallas and Houston, El Paso. And lucky for us, we still have Tejano music in San Antonio. The problem there is that they only play the oldies. They don't play what's being created right now. They don't play the new music. However, thanks to social networking, thanks to the internet, people can hear all these Tejano programs that originated in San Antonio on the internet, like Johnny Ramirez in the morning from KXTN. He might be here in San Antonio, but he's heard not only around Texas, but throughout the whole entire world. So, thanks to the internet, the World Wide Web, Tejano music is worldwide. You know? And then you put your videos on YouTube, you know, you put your biographies, your pictures, and everything else on Facebook. So it's an outlet. So there's no way it's going to die.
But for the young ladies in the music industry, you know, one I mean, we've had from our queens of the Tejano music industry I mean, there was Laura Canales, you know, beautiful lady with a beautiful voice, you know, and a lot of times, you know, then there was, we had Selena, you know, Selena, these are the ladies that always, you know, they support one another. They support one another. Selena, you know, with Shelly Lares, with Rebecca Valadez, you know, then there's Patsy Torres. Even though it may be hard in the industry, but these are the women that I look up to because they do not step down. They continue and they strive and they work hard and they love their music. They love what they're giving their audience.
Big round of applause for Flaco Jimenez!
Well, the sound of San Antonio doesn't change. It's a conjunto music all the way, you know, and Tejano.
I guess the Texas thing is we realize in California that a lot of the bands care more about what they look like and what they sound like. And our problems are like we drink too much whiskey, so we like, that's our problem. So I guess that's a Texas thing.
Look at it like everything comes in waves, and music comes in waves, and there's generations. And like if you go back to the beginning and you look at what we're doing is not necessarily anything different. We're just telling stories. Just like everybody else told stories. So this is a song I wrote for this girl I was engaged to. She actually left to Galveston without telling me and hooked up with another guy and then came back home. So I was thinking this. I was hanging on the edge, hanging on the edge. I was running from her smile. Some say I was running from death. It's not what I thought, because I gave her my heart. She got drunk and she just walked off. She walked off without a goodbye, without a good night, without a so long, without a see you soon, a see you soon, without a take care, without a miss you, without a love you, without a see you soon, without a see you soon, sugar, I will see you soon.
All I gotta say about Nashville country is fuck it, dude. Like, it's so fake, dude. It's like just put out there for this mass fucking audience of young fucking girls that
And
just
what's
want to hear bullshit.
Nashville country's bad is you do have artists up there that are awesome.
And yeah, and they
They're
can't
awesome.
They can't play
They-
their own shit.
awesome.
As far as like nowadays, like our Red Dirt, I mean, it's just more real. I mean, it's more home. It's about, you know, it's about stuff that people have been through. Actually,
Life
I mean,
experience,
yeah,
man.
it's
Life
life experience. It's real talk, man.
Could it be just as lonesome as you and me? Well, I just wanna shout out loud. Why don't you all just come out, and we can all tear it on down? Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's come to it's split off into two paths. There's this path led by of 5 groups, at least from when I've been in it. You know, you Cross Country Ragweed, Pat Green, Corey Morrow, Jason Bolin, and who am I forgetting? Randy Rogers. You know, they did it. They grew together. All of them grew together, and then now bands coming up are trying to imitate what they're doing. A lot of them, and they're not really focusing on what they really want, and they're just trying to imitate and go, and that's breaking off. And then you got the other people that are writing their songs, that are telling their stories, that are doing it their way. That's why I said branched off.
When I first met Kyle's brother Keegan, actually, he got me into a lot of the Texas stuff. It was like, you know, Stoney and Ragweed and that stuff, and it got me really interested in the music because I mean it was just something I could, you know, appreciate because I could feel the lyrics that they were putting in my head, you know.
You broke my fucking heart, now I'm finding someone else to love. This song's called Another Little Love. I don't wanna see you tomorrow. Well, I don't wanna see you.
You know that all these songs are their own, right? Originally.
Well, I'm just drowning in my own sorrow. I get back up, but I don't give in.
But Pat Green made it before anybody, like literally 60,000 people. But it didn't happen overnight. It took 10 years.
Him and
then
Robert
he
Earl
came
Keen.
out. Yeah, and he was so big that he brought back Willie Nelson and he brought back Robert Earl Keen. Because you know what? I would have never heard of him. And 50,000 other college kids would have never heard of Robert Earl Keen if it weren't for Pat Green. Because he would sing about Robert Earl Keen. You know, and then he was in Willie Nelson's book, Pat Green was. It was like, that's how big, it was like a movie. Okay. So then there was another scene, and from that sprung Randy Rogers. Except for Randy Rogers surpassed Pat Green by $10 million. It was crazy. Like, and he wrote all these catchy songs. But then from that, you have Wade Bowen, and you have all these other people. But before that, there was Chris Knight, and all the original songwriters, and they're still there. They were just surpassed by this whole culture of music that was followed by fraternity people and by young people, you know, the same way that Taylor Swift is followed by girls.
Since we're all from here, we've talked about a million times moving to Austin. And we just kept playing shows here. And we're having more success than we do in Austin. So we figured San Antonio is actually like emerging what Seattle was, you know, in the 90s, or an emerging market.
They have a lot of good bands that come out of Austin, but at the same time, I think we're more promising. I think we have potentially a better scene. We're the future, they're the past.
There's a fear of going to Austin, you become part of the saturated sound.
Right.
Where it's become a scene. And here there is no scene. So you can kind of stand out.
I got a music degree from Trinity, but I'm not really doing anything with it right now. But I feel like that's kind of everyone in San Antonio. Like, I stay here instead of Austin because it's just more fun and less pretentious, and everyone is just kind of like living their lives like and doing what they want to do instead of like doing what they think other people would like them to do. So
I think as far as the scene in San Antonio goes, like on some respects it's untapped, you know, and then on other respects it's like we have yet to come into our own. You know, I still envision a San Antonio where like one day, you know, it's like we're, you know, on the cover of Spin magazine, and San Antonio is the next Seattle, you know, for the lack of a better way to phrase it, because, you know, Seattle is synonymous with sub pop records and grunge music, you know, and it's like Austin is synonymous for like, you know, blues and, you know, just the light music capital of the world, you know, and it's like I think that San Antonio has enough potential to be on the map with its own niche, you know, with its own variety of music.
I think there are a lot of bands that can bring soul to music while like also still being really technically complex and like having very epic things. And I think like if you can manage to combine those two ideas, that's a good thing. And like my bandmate in the Cartographers, Jackson Albrecht, is really good at that. And I hope I'm getting good at that. Like that's what I'm trying to do with my own music as well.
Truth is I am wasted, I'm gone, I don't really care. Could you what the place look like anyway, 'cause I've never seen it in a life. Don't expect you will understand. Can't get down that way, I'm gonna stay right.
There's a lot of places to play, like in New Braunfels, like right outside of San Antonio, areas outside
Kerrville, San Marcos, New Braunfels, you know, those are all about like folk and Americana.
There's a lot of music around San Marcos, and especially in Green Hall, like during the day from 1 to 5, you can catch some acts that you may never know it, you know, but in 2 or 3 years are the biggest thing.
Whenever South by Southwest rolls around, and it's like my friends, because I have friends all over the country, and we meet up at South by, and you know, and last year we were putting our list together, and one of the guys says, you know, no San Antonio bands. I don't see no San Antonio bands on your list, you know, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I gotta support my peeps, you know. If they're gonna be at South by playing to 12 people, I'm gonna be there, one of the 12 in the crowd, giving my support at least once. I mean, come on, it's just up the street, you know. And so I always manage in those big festivals, you know, just to spend 5 minutes with my peeps and let them know, hey, you know what, there's a million bands out here, but I'm gonna give you, you know, just one set. Have fun the rest of the time. I'm sure I'll see you around. I might see you at another show, but at least, you know, I gotta see my people.
We were on tour in California and we realized that a lot of bands actually want to come to Austin and San Antonio, Texas.
They mentioned San Antonio.
They're like, we want to come through there. Like everyone wanted to come through here contacted us, and we realized maybe it isn't as bad as we think, and maybe we need to make the best of it. And now a lot of things are getting shaken up in San Antonio. A lot of bands want to come here, and there's a lot of new venues that are trying to pop up.
Sort of seems to be happening right now, and I have never really seen it before. But there are like a lot of different people who are coming in from Los Angeles or like the Gordon Raphael. You know, the big thing right now is the guy Gordon Raphael, the guy who produces Strokes. You know, their first 2 records. He comes to San Antonio like randomly, not really randomly. You know, he comes to San Antonio to check out this band, experiences the city, and is like, holy shit, you know, this is great. Why doesn't anyone catch on to me?
Our manager now, he's trying to convince all the bands that come to Austin to come to San Antonio, and they're going to realize that San Antonio is just as good or better than Austin.
Just be original. Be yourself. Don't copy. Don't do cover songs. Write your own material and give it a unique arrangement that's going to stand out from others.
If you're young, check your roots. When you like a band, look and see who they liked. Read about them, who they like growing up, and who did that band like growing up, and really see where it came from. And I think you'll find at the root of music, you'll find where it all comes from. So, when guys didn't have fancy instruments and loops and beats and pedals, just check and see who they liked and they liked and they liked, and you'll find at the end of the trail a really badass sound that I think you can create. Check out.
But the truth is that if you are ambitious about it and you do your own research and you work hard, you know, it'll start to come to you. You'll learn, and people will come out of the woodwork and start giving you advice on things you should do.
Think of it as a job, not a party.
With us, we're like a tight family, so if one of us make it, we all make it. So it's one of those things, you know. And I'm sure we're gonna bring up everybody. I know if I ever did, I'd bring up everybody I ever fucking knew.
Meeting people is the most important thing you do as a musician. Making connections, other musicians, people who support music. And you have to get out there and meet people.
At the same time, these last 3 years that Local 782's been around, we've seen a lot of other entities start to rise in bands. You know, like everybody's really striving in San Antonio. Of course, you know.
I mean, like, really the best advice I can give to somebody is, like, don't be afraid. If you like pop music, own it. You know, the tickets go on sale, buy a ticket, go to the show. You know, everybody likes what they like. It's like Android versus iPhone. You know, it's like hip-hop versus rock and roll. It's like some aspects are never going to go away. You know, find what you like, find your niche, you know, just be cool about it. You know, go out there and, like, you know, actively participate.
That's what I want to see San Antonio do, is bring back the band, bring back some sense of live engagement.
It's like almost a silly biblical term. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So we thought we'd just stay here in San Antonio, make the best of it, and apparently actually things are happening finally.
And I think it's just a matter of time before San Antonio becomes one of those big cities where it's like got great things going on, you know what I mean?
If they like music and they have that music ear and they like music, okay, well, I hope they do good or whatever, you know. But just not only San Antonio, just all over the place.
I think one of the best things about music in this area is that it doesn't have to be classified. That the whole basis of what it's built on is this relatable feeling that people have. And that's why I like it. Because whether I'm feeling in the mood for R&B or rock or folk or whatever you can get all around the U.S., that it somehow pulls together this thread that every human being shares. And there's all different kinds of people that come through this. Like, we've seen so many different bands, so many different people who start out when they're like 30 and say they want to be like a rock star, or they want to be a country musician or whatever it might be. But the thing that really hooks people in is that relativity. And that's what I love about it, is that it doesn't have to be classified.